Hola, ahora sí. Bueno, esta charla es en inglés, con lo cual si necesitáis traductores simultáneos y tal, podéis coger los cacharros en recepción, ¿vale? Here we have HICHAM TOLIMAT with us. He's a Moroccan hacker, now located in France. He's one of the leaders and founders of Yokosa, the bug bounty platform, and one of my best friends. Thank you for coming here. His second year here
Yeah,
in her role, I think. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, let's go with.
Thank you. Thank you, Omar, for the introduction. Hola a todos. Mi nombre es Hisham, pero puedes llamarme Hat, como el sombrero. Ah, Me encantaría hacer esta charla en español, pero no hablo español muy bien. Así que gracias por soportar mi acento en inglés, pero el resto del charla. Um, s- as I've been saying in Spanish with my accent, my name is Hisham. This is like how we write it in Arabic. As Omar said, I'm Moroccan, so based in Paris, essentially. Um, what I usually do to present myself is as a hacker, as I've been, I think, for the 5 years now, I've been in Hacker's Voice, which is like the biggest hacker community in France. And I had the opportunity to meet some great people like this one, these one. I don't know if you know these guys. The first one on the right, extreme right, is Kevin Mitnick. And the other one is Chris Sadnagi, who is like a big specialist in social engineering. But I'm also a teacher, and this is my face in front of my students, because I don't care about how you feel. What it's important is how you make things. So my students are more in Université de Cergy-Pontoise, which is like a university in Paris. Uh, I don't know if you know this, Mr. Ropa. Um, quick info. I'm in a lawsuit with my previous employer, so I'll stop just here. And finally, as Omar said, I'm the CTO and one of the founders of Yogosha, which is a bug bounty platform. I'm this guy in this company. So if you want some stickers, here they are. We can speak about it. So I'm the CTO, so I can't leave without like going live. But essentially, today we're gonna talk about like DevOps. What is this history about like hospital? What is this? So I will try to give you like an insight, like you know this matrix, like the blue pill and the red pill. I will try to give you both, um, explaining to you how can we understand this. Following essentially this agenda, trying to explain why, how, and what are we talking about today. So essentially, if you want to just take like three main things that you have to remember in this talk is that hackers are like physicians, which are doctors. DevOps is prophylaxis, which is like the scientific name of prevention. And finally, InfoSec could be compared to healthcare. So I will try to detail all these elements during this talk. I want also to say that these kind of talks are more essentially like a social engineering experiment for me. So I'm trying to convince you here about like all these ideas, and it depends on you actually if you believe it or not. But finally, the disclaimer is don't be fooled by the appearances. Just like uh, go deep by yourself and try to understand things by yourself. And essentially, don't take life seriously and don't take me seriously. If you wanna, if I say like things that aren't good, don't blame me, blame the genie and blame the hat. It's not me. Anyway, so why? Let's start with the why. You obviously are all hackers in here. You know how are we pictured in the civil society, or how they perceive us as like threats, as like um, what we call in French des menaces, which are like they're here to um, like kill everyone in this cyberspace. So why are we perceived like this? So because we have like a lot of misleading imagery about our community. So we will try to understand how can we like change this like imagery to be as like understandable by everyone. Let's start by this. Fear, uncertainty, and doubts. Uh, you all know this term. This little um, tableau here, it's just like a listing of all the films that have hackers in it. So essentially, yeah, it's in French, but essentially our like imagery in the Hollywood scene are more about like complotism. We're here to destroy everything, and this image is like vehiculated in every movies. So everyone like believe movies. So it's essentially true that we are here to destroy everything. But in the same time, we have like great people that are working in this industry that tries to change actually this perception and give to the general public a different image of what we do and what we can like do to help not only our community but the infosec community but also the IT community, like everyone. Um, I don't know if you know this. It's Ellen, I think. She said in a TED talk that hackers are the immune system of the internet. I want to like for you to take like 2 seconds and think like no, sorry, think beyond that. Um, Let us just imagine that hackers are like internet's doctors, because we know essentially each and every part of internet or the cyber, as we say today. And this imagery is not only understandable for everyone, but also it can give us like a great essence of like inspiration. Uh, I'll just give you two examples. The first one is the manifesto. I hope that everyone knows about the Hacker Manifesto, because sometimes like the new kids in the block don't even know about it. So from time to time, it's good to like remind our to the new guys that comes in this industry what's brought us here. Essentially, the manifesto could be considered as the oath of Hippocrates, as doctors swears uh, in every part of the world. Oop. I thought I had a second one. Okay. So just keep this image of hacker is like internet's doctor, and let us like develop this and give it like a sense of uh, going forward about our industry and our community. Let's talk about infosec for a second. When you all have clients, when you have clients saying, "I want a pen test," it depends on what? It depends on a lot of things. It could be like a red team, a control audit, a code review. It has a lot of signification. So infosec and our industry is complex. Only us, as like working in it, are understand these kind of things. For a client, when they say, "I want a pen test," they just want a pen test. They don't want to know how it happens. Like doctors. When I have my little kid that is like ill, I just want to bring it to the doctor and said, "He's ill, make something out of it." And I don't want to like I won't say how much time do you need to make him better. It depends on him and his situation. So that's the same for our industry, because how can you say in a pen test that I will need like 2 days or 5 days to pen test the whole infrastructure? It depends actually on the client. Not only our job is complicated, but also certifications that are here to like pinpoint our competence is complicated. So this is like just a quick review of all the certifications that we have in this industry, and it seems really complicated. Uh, do I really need to zoom on this? Because we have like network engineering, infosec, security engineering, we have forensic, audit, everything. Like for instance, forensic. If you like take the parallel with medicine, infosec, forensic are more like the coroners that understands how people die. That's the same for forensic guys. They try to understand how the application or the server died. So it's interesting to have this kind of parallel to give a better perspective about our job. Let us speak about like DevOps and how security is considered in DevOps. This is how they picture us. We're here to gather the shit of DevOps things. Uh, I don't want to be this guy, essentially. I'm here to help anyway. So we're here to help, so we're here to try to give like another perspective of what we are doing as a job and telling to the developers and to the C-levels that we are here to help anyway. So how can we convince them that we are here to help? We have different problems, especially now, actually, in this era of agility, is that security cannot pursue the high frequency of agility in development cycles right now. For instance, here, if you can, like, just giving an example of how things work, is that devs and security guys works apart, and they don't usually synchronize. As a pen tester, you're here at the end, or maybe at the middle of development, but essentially you don't talk to the developers because that's how things are done. We need to change that. We need to change communication between us, between developers and security guys. For instance, who was here last year? Okay. I gave kind of this talk last year, and we presented a way actually to change communication between developers and hackers. So here, we have a GitHub repository, and this was actually the interface of submission of vulnerability in a bug bounty program. We create an abstract, like human understandable summary of the vulnerability, the proof of concept, the scope URL, the vulnerable parameter, but essentially the CVSS to quantify actually the vulnerability. And essentially, as soon as we click save, automatically, like with technicalities, it appears as an issue in the GitHub repository. Technically speaking, it's nothing. It's a webhook. It's just like sending information directly to the GitHub. But as like a communication means, it changed everything, because right now, using this kind of channel of communication, we can speak directly to the developers and try to understand how things work, but essentially to explain to them that security is hard. We have to work together. So how can we like do these kind of things? I'm kind of lucky because you know the Grug. He tweeted this morning, I think, that people keep forgetting that security is a combination of technical, procedures, and human. You need to get them all secured. This kind of is kind of familiar with the healthcare situation because, like in a hospital, you have human guys that are doing things, you have procedures, and you have also technical skills. So why can't we like get inspired by this to do prevention in these kind of things? So as Omar said, we are doing a bug bounty platform. We are a bug bounty platform, and what is bug bounty essentially is we pay actually hackers to find vulnerabilities. It depends on the vulnerability. But I'm here essentially to show technicalities and show you how things work with, I don't know if you know this guy called Nicolas Delouf. He works at Jenkins, and he showed us actually a thing called pipeline in DevOps. I'm sure that you already seen that in different conferences here in RootedCon. But let me just sum it up essentially. Let's just take the chain of value in development. Imagine that we have like the developer that checks out a new feature in his code factory or repository. Imagine that we have like an automated system that do like quality check, but also build check as a compiler. Let me explain it. As soon as it check out, the staging environment pull dependencies, build actually the staging. If it fails, you can blame the developer because he didn't test actually his code. But if it's okay, you can do as soon as possible security checks because one, it will prevent any errors or security vulnerabilities beforehand. But also, if any vulnerability is here, it gives some awareness to the developer to understand things more essentially than like a vanilla 3-day like workshop to understand how to write PHP securely, for instance. And then afterwards, QA check. Then finally, it's pushed to the registry. In the DevOps like world, as soon as you have an application that could be like containerized, you can push it wherever you want. So finally, you can push it somewhere like in AWS or whatever cloud provider you have, just like the essential image of your application without connection to your like home system. So even if we found like a remote code execution in your application, it doesn't actually impact your home infrastructure if you like containerize things good. So we can like prepare staging data and pull whatever application you want from the registry parallel to the production. So without like going too far, I will show you an implementation actually of this like DevOps sec or sec DevOps or call it whatever you want. Let me just okay. So I have this project here called Red Pill. That's essentially like a PHP application using 3 files: the Jenkins file, the make file, and a Docker file that you will find just here. Up, the Docker file. Up. So, make file, you know what it is? Just have to make pull or make run or make build, and it does things to you. But what I want to show, the Docker file, is simply a PHP container where we install the MySQL extension. But the most important file here is the Jenkins file. The Jenkins file is a code that mimic actually the process that I showed you earlier. So here, for instance, like we define the application name, the URL. We want to pull images. We want to test. We will, like for instance, do a SonarQube analysis just before it. And afterwards, like we do a bunch of stuff for the application and for the database, and finally, we just have to like run containers to essentially push things. But this is like just code. Let me just show you how it works. Up, where is it? Hello, there it is. So in this server, SSH. I trust you, Omar, with your internet connection. So what do I have here? Up, I just have like traffic, which is a great load balancer. You'll have to check it. It does things automatically. I have a Jenkins uh, container and a registry container. So the Jenkins, what's happening in Jenkins? Let us just like show the configuration. Up, let me log in again. Come on, here it is. So if you ever worked on Jenkins, you just have to install a plugin called Pipeline, and you just have to specify actually the repository URL here, and that's it as a configuration. What it simply does is Jenkins read actually the Jenkins file that I've showed you earlier and does actually all the steps automatically. Let us just go to the console and see what happens beforehand. So here, for instance, it clones actually the code. Tuck, 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 tuck. It's pulling the images like PHP 5 here, the MySQL thing. Then afterwards it builds. So Docker build, tuck, tuck, tuck. Then afterwards it will like push the analysis to SonarQube. SonarQube is this. It's actually a code analysis. It didn't find that much bug on my code because it's only like 12 lines or something like this. Here it is. So the code is not that complicated, but if you see here, we have a SQL injection here. So let us play. So here, SonarQube didn't detect actually the SQL injection. Afterwards, I'm just playing with containers. Then finally, I'm doing a zap scan here. So the only instruction that I have here is zap CLI, quick scan, to the application. So zap didn't find anything here. And finally, the pipeline just asking me, is this staging.chocobo.chogosha.com going according to plan? So let's go. Oh, no. HTTPS. What is what? I was sorry. Staging. Staging.chocobo. So here's the application. ID equal. Oh. Here it is. It's working. It's automatically in HTTPS. That's the traffic load balancer that does magically the things. So our application seems to be working according to plan. So let us just say here, I'm okay with the changes. Go proceed. So what essentially does here is it will push two instances of this application. A first one called bug bounty, and the second one is called production. So if I go to bug bounty.chocobo, here we have it. The environment is a bug bounty, and we have still like the staging information here. ID equal 1, it's okay. If we go to prod, here it is. So information are more like a production level information here. I told you about like in SQL injection here. Come on, SQL injection. Hey, you don't want it. Okay. Hello. It froze. Why is that? Let's go again. Here it is. Stack ID equal 0. I think Omar is playing with his with his phone. Doesn't want. Anyway, I just wanted to show you actually that no, it doesn't want to work. Anyway, just saying that what I want to say here is that even using like automatic tools uh, in our industry, it doesn't actually replace our skills because, as you have seen, SonarCube and Zap didn't actually like seen the vulnerabilities, but still we have like the human skills to find vulnerabilities like SQL injections and these kind of things. Just to give you like an insight that, like for instance, if we have invented scanners or all these tools, yeah, I'm concluding. Okay, I can do more, okay, if you want. But what I'm saying is that as you have seen, we have scanners, like in the healthcare security, in the healthcare industry. It doesn't mean that it replaces actually doctors. That's the same for our industry. Artificial intelligence or this kind of like automatic um, applications won't like replace our skills, like human skills. And as the Greg said, security is a mixture of technicalities, automatization, but also human skills. We are script kiddies, don't forget it. So finally, I hope that this imagery will like give you a better insight of what security means. And my computer is freezing at all. Okay. I think that I finished because as my computer don't want to go afterwards. So let's conclude and hope that you have some questions about like all this that I'm speaking about. I hope that I was like fluent and understandable enough for you guys. No, I reboot it. I don't know. I will hope if it works right now. Okay, let me just kill everything again and do it again. Yep. All right. Okay, that is better. Tag ig equal. Okay. Let us show the SQL injection, please. Here it is, finally. So the SQL injection here is like human skills compared to like automatic scanning. I want to show you something else about like InfoSec and how can we use actually Docker and this DevOps things not only as a way to secure things, but also a way to ease our work. You all have done DFIR, like analysis, forensic analysis. I had actually this, um, nope. I had this assessment here. Let me just. This is like just to show you another use of Docker and oh come on. And the IP is this one. Okay. So here in this server, what do I have? Have you ever seen Kibana? Do you know this tool? Nope. Okay. Essentially, what I have done in this tool is that I just uploaded, yes, nope, audit, logs. I just took actually all the Apache, come on, logs that I have here. So beside like grabbing things and going by hand, trying to understand what's happening in these logs, you just have to like push it in this Kibana and it gives you like all the info, all the parsing of logs actually. What happens here is that this client was like defaced uh, back on those days, and we had to find out who was actually behind it. And as you like, you can picture and like discover data just by typing like SQL. Here, I'm understanding that. Can you imagine that I had like this was like the current um, um, like visits, and one day it has like a count of 20,000. Let us just zoom there and see what's happening. Did you see a great spider in here? So essentially, we find out that you can see how like reading logs without even trying to understand, like parsing things by hand. Let me just show you. Up. No, come on. Up. Quick. Okay. This was actually the web shell that was uploaded in the server, and what I can just do is add the client IP, the request, and the timestamp, and I find out the IP addresses that have accessed actually this web shell. So it's as simple as that. You just have to parse data using this simple file, this Docker compose. So this Docker compose, what it essentially does is like it's based on ELK, so Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana. And what it simply does is like taking here all the logs that you have seen earlier, mount it in a thing called FileBeats that sends actually and parse everything to the ELK. So these like I'm trying to showing you like with these two real life use cases that we encounter in each and every day in our like job, that you can use and leverage this new technologies not only like for finding bugs on it, but also to help you guys to like do your work. And I think that's the end of my talk. If you have any questions, I'm here for it. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, HICHAM. I don't know if anyone has any question. No?
It was crystal clear for you guys.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Or probably they didn't understand anything, but no
Nope.
questions.
Okay.
So thank you very much, HICHAM.
Thank you for.
Todavía tenemos un ratito hasta que venga Jaime a presentar la charla de Bug Bounties, así que si queréis estar aquí o salir o lo que queráis.